is Thursday, December 19th. Today is a shot day. I weighed myself this morning. I weighed in at 240.6. That is up 1 pound from last week. Who knows why? The weird thing is, so remember last week when I took my shot, how I had leftover in the cartridge? Well, when I was looking at it today, it looked like I had 20 units left. So that'd be 4 milligrams. So I thought, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm doing dosage wise going forward. I did buy some cagrilintide, but it's not here yet. But I thought maybe I'll just take the 4 milligrams. And then when I get the cagrilintide in here, I would just kind of stagger. So like midweek, I would take the cagri and then I would take the Terz and go back and forth. So I had what appeared to be, what I took to be roughly 20 units because the little tick marks on the cartridge said 20. So I put it to 30 just to make sure I had it right. So I went to 30, injected, went down. I still had stuff left. So I'm like, what the heck? So then I did another 30, did that. That all went in too. So then I went to like 8 and then it went one tick. So I had roughly another 60 to 61 units in the cartridge left over. And I thought that's just really weird because, yeah. So I'm supposed to be taking 12 and a half units every week. I only wanted to go to 60 on the cartridge. I didn't want to have to, for the units, I didn't want to have to go to 60, inject, and then, 5 or whatever, or 12. No, 5. I don't know. Anyway, so I was kind of underdosing the whole time. But when I look at it from this last time, units wise, I got 75 units, 75 milligrams worth out of a 60 milligram vial. So at some point, I don't know how or why or when or what, the math was all screwed up. So then I'm like, well, I wonder, what did I get from my last one? So when I look at my numbers, I started out my prior cartridge, I did 7.5. And then it looks like I did 7.5, 10, 10, 10, and 10. So that's 47. 47.5 out of 60. So that doesn't make any sense either. You know what? I bet I'd have to go back and check on my video, but I wonder if I started a new cartridge the week after, because then that would be 62.5. That's the only thing I can think of is that I mislabeled it on my spreadsheet, but I don't know. If that's the case, then it's whatever. I was all thinking about how I was going to have to do all this scientific experimentation, like take that used cartridge and put 3 milliliters of water in it and then go to 60 and see how many times, how many weeks, like how many times I could do 60 just to see what it was going to be. But if I, in fact, did that incorrectly, then that would make sense. I don't know, guys. And so I should be going to 15 milligrams at this stage because I am not getting any traction weight loss wise. I think a lot of that is down to me. I think lately I've been ignoring my body's signaling and just plowing through it, and it's not awesome. But I feel like maybe that's what I'm doing. So maybe that's why the weight is not coming off as readily as it could. I'm hoping that the cagrilintide will help with like the whole food noise thing, because it's never really been gone, In cagrilintide, it accesses a different receptor than it's not a GIP and it's not a GLP-1. I can't remember specifically what the receptor is that it works with, but it's a different one. So maybe that'll give me a little bit of extra oomph. I think my husband's going to try to maybe start carnivore or low carb in the new year. Maybe I will attempt that as well. I've done it in the past. It's worked for me in the past. It's gotten boring in the past. So that's one of the reasons that I don't really do it, even though I think I feel better on it. I don't know. I've been having leg cramps and foot cramps recently. I haven't taken magnesium for a few weeks now because I was having the heart palpitations. Heart palpitations are great. I think I've probably had one in the last couple weeks, maybe two. So those are pretty much taken care of right now. But I do worry. That's why maybe I've been getting the muscle cramps, is because maybe I'm getting a little bit low in that. So I don't think I've been taking potassium either, now that I think about it. So maybe I'll take that for another week and then see if that helps with the cramping. I've been doing the Miralax at night. I didn't do it last night because I've been having some gastric distress from, I think, just different food that I've been eating. So I did not need any help from the Miralax. I went to go see Kimberly Akimbo last Thursday after I made my other video. It was so good. The music was very fun. They did the acoustics just right. They had the volume pretty well. There was a couple times where I strained with a word or two, but for the most part, it was great. And it's a fictional story. There are people who really do have the disease where you age extremely rapidly. And I can't think of what it's called. I think it's got kind of a long name. So this is kind of like that disease. So she's a 16-year-old girl and she looks like she's in her 40s or 50s. But she's in high school and it's set in the 90s, like in the grunge era. Her parents are kind of losers. It was really well done. I would say if you have a chance to see Kimberly Akimbo, go see it because it was good. If you like musicals. If you don't like musicals, it's not going to be for you. But that was good. I watched a movie called Dear Santa. It's got Jack Black. It's about a little boy who is dyslexic. He writes a Christmas list to Santa, but he misspells it to Satan. So he sends Satan a Christmas list. And so Jack Black is the devil. He comes because he wants the kid's soul. So he's like, hey man, I'll give you 3 wishes and then I get your soul. So, devils aside, it's a very cute family Christmas movie. I would recommend that you guys see it. The little boy who played the kid, I don't think, maybe his cast name was Ethan or Evan or something like that. He did such a good job. I've not seen him in anything. His acting was really well done. His best friend, Gibby, that kid was really well done. It was just it was a cute show. Like I laughed multiple times and my husband laughed multiple times too. After that, I saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the classic, was it 50s movie that's kind of claymation, felted animals, really advanced for its time. I like to watch it every year because it's a classic. It's hard to watch though because of the blatant discrimination. As a kid, I felt for him, because you're supposed to feel for the character. But as an adult, I'm like, what the crap, man? Like it is blatant. And so that bothers me now every time that I watch it. I'm like, just let him have a red nose, let that elf be a dentist. Who's he hurting? So I will still watch that every year though, because it's just a really cute Christmas film. Then I watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and this is the Dr. Seuss cartoon version. It's very short compared to other Grinch movies. It's like 20 minutes maybe. Anyway. I always really feel bad for that dog, his pet Max. Man, he makes that guy work so hard. He's just like a tiny little thing. But it is a classic Dr. Seuss film. I'm sure you guys have seen it. We're all roughly around an age where we would have seen these kind of movies before. It's a classic. You got to watch it every year. I finished a bird puzzle. It's the one that had the birds all on the grids. It looked good when I finished it. It wasn't super difficult. The birds themselves were okay. The watercolor background was a little bit difficult because while the colors were different, Some of them were close to each other, so that part probably took me the longest, was just finishing up the background work. I just threw it out when I was done with it. It wasn't missing any puzzle pieces. I had gotten it from a thrift store, but a lot of the back of the pieces were fluffy. Like the cardboard was just, I don't know if it had been done a lot, like it had been put together a lot of times and taken apart a lot of times. But the backs of it, it was just, I mean, you can see from the photo, it's lifted. Like a lot of the stuff is lifted and the pieces didn't always want to stick together. So I could have given it to my sister, but I'm like, nobody needs to deal with this. If it's poorly put together, it's not really that fun to do. So I just threw it out. I watched Love Actually. It's been a week for movies, let me tell you. Christmas films. I'm trying to watch seasonal films right now. So I watched Love Actually. I've heard about this film for years. I probably have seen it, I don't know, decades ago. I think it's from like 2005 or something. It's been around for a while. And a lot of big names in it. It's good. It is a seasonal film. I don't think it's going to be on my roster to watch year over year. I didn't think it was that great. It was kind of crazy seeing Keira Knightley in it being so young. I mean, they're all so young, right? But I'm watching Black Doves on Netflix right now, and she's a lead in it, and she's like a mother, like a, I don't know, 40-year-old mother. And in this, she's just so young. And yeah, you can definitely tell that she is younger in the Love Actually film. But it was just kind of fun because I'm watching both. I watched both around the same time. I watched a stand-up comedy show by Ronnie Chang. You might know him as a correspondent on The Daily Show. His stand-up was Love It or Hate It? Love to Hate It. And it was good. He's got some comedy that I think is kind of funny. He's a little crass when I don't think he needs to be. But all in all, I agree with a lot of the stuff that, you know, he talks about, that he goes with. So if you like Ronnie Chang, if you like his stylings on The Daily Show, you would probably enjoy his Love to Hate It comedy tour. There's a new movie coming out that I saw a trailer for today called Death of a Unicorn. That one looks good. It's got Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd in it, and he plays her dad. They are going to this house and they run over a unicorn. And they end up taking it with them, I guess. And he's in pharmaceuticals or something. And so the house that they go to, they have like a lab. So they start experimenting like with unicorn blood, and it cures cancer and stuff. And they're like, yay, and they think it's great. Well, all of a sudden you see one of the actors, you see like a hole get punctured through his sternum chest area. And it turns out this unicorn had either a mom or a dad, I don't know. And it's like trying to find, I guess, its kid, its baby. And so then it kind of looks like it's a comedy horror film. Like it's coming around like killing people. I don't know. It looks right up my alley. So I'm excited. I don't know when it comes out. I never looked that up, but probably within the next couple months, hopefully. Yeah. I have been playing with my sourdough starter again, and I couldn't tell if maybe it had got some mold on it, so I threw a lot of it out. I hadn't fed it for a few days, and I'd left it on the counter. So like last week, I've been feeding it regularly, trying to build the starter back up again. And so like 2 days ago, I thought, well, I'll try to make a loaf of bread. And there's this thing going around where it's like no hassle sourdough. Basically, you're just putting your ingredients together. Maybe you do one stretch and fold just to incorporate the ingredients, and then you just let it go. You let it do its bulk ferment. You then shape it and let it sit for an hour, and then you bake it, So this is over the course of 16 to 24 hours. So I let it go a full 24, and then yesterday I was looking at it, and it was still really tacky. And I had gone a little of a higher hydration on it, but not crazily. So I was like trying to shape it. It was just so sticky. And I thought, well, this is not great. So I put it back in its bowl, and I thought I'll let it go another 24 hours. And then if it doesn't turn out well, then I'll just make focaccia bread with it tomorrow, which is today. So today I was looking at it and I saw a little bit of, gas bubbles, air bubbles, but it wasn't really doing much of anything. So I'm like, focaccia it is. So I took a 9x13 cake pan, brownie pan, and I put olive oil in it, used way too much olive oil, dumped the bread in it, made the little holes, stretched it out. And then the toppings, I did granulated garlic, Parmesan cheese, Italian herbs, and then large flake salt on the top. And then I let it rise for like another, hour and a half, 2 hours in a very, very lightly warmed oven. Like I had turned it on to preheat for like a minute, maybe a minute and a half before I turned it off because I was trying to encourage the yeast to grow. So much oil on this thing, right? So after a couple hours, I thought, screw it, I'm just going to bake it. And so I baked it off. It did rise a little bit, but I mean, we had like pools of oil and I thought this thing is going to be so dense. It's going to have so much oil. It's probably not going to be great. It smelled really nice, but I did not have high hopes for it. Well, I made a ham chowder the other day from this spiral ham that we had. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try this bread with the ham chowder before I throw it out. Cause I kind of just assumed I was going to throw it out. It was so good. It is very dense with oil, right? But it's almost like it was fried. It was almost like it was fried in the olive oil, and it's salty. It's got that flake salt on top with a little bit, the hints of seasonings. So I was like, but it was almost, at least the edge pieces were like super crispy and chewy and hard. It was great to dunk in this creamy, hammy ham chowder and like just kind of, I don't know. It was excellent. So I had an amount of bread with ham chowder. I'm going to see if the boys want to eat it when they get home. I probably won't keep it around for long. If they don't want to eat it, I'll just throw it out. But for eating it with that chowder, it was like a really good accoutrement. It was almost like a chewy crouton, that sometimes you get when you do like onion soups. You'll have that cheesy crouton on the top, and it's kind of anyway, kind of reminded me of that. We did family photos the other day, and we haven't done family photos since my eldest was like 1. So we have a picture of the 3 of us. And then the boys, they get photos every year with their cousins. And then we usually just do one-offs of them so we can have yearly photos of them on their own that are not their school photos. So this year I said, you know what, we're going to, we don't even have one with all 4 of us. Let's do this. So we get there on time, but late. I mean, we really had to book it. And that was a whole thing that I will not relay. So the kids are going in there, and it's my eldest man. So I had him wear a pair of jeans. My mother-in-law got all the kids like plain navy hoodies. My son has these wireless headphones that he wears all the time. And even when he's not wearing them, he wears them like around his neck like a necklace. He was going to wear them in the photos. And I was like, nope. So then he was all miffed that I wouldn't let him wear his headphones in the photos. So, and then he was mad, sullen, that I was making him wear jeans because he doesn't like to wear jeans. And y'all, he wore my husband's jeans and they fit him. Like, my husband's 6'3". Ezra is taller than me. He's probably at least 5'8" at this stage. He's a 8th grader. He's tall. He's a tall kid. He's like 5'8" or 5'9" at this stage, I think. He overpassed me a couple years, like 2 years ago. Anyway, so it's not like these pants were uncomfortable. I mean, they fit him and they weren't like super tight. And then my other son, we found a pair for him. They were a little bit long, but they worked. So it's not like we're dressing them up in these really uncomfortable clothes, but my younger kid, he gave smiles. He did fine. He was kind of acting like it was a hassle, I think, because my older kid was acting like it was a hassle. We could not get good smiles. It was very grimacy, like he was doing the craziest faces. And I know he'll grow out of it, but it's irritating when you're paying money for photos and they don't behave right. So he was just giving attitude like the whole time. We were able to get a couple of cute photos. And then as a family, I found one with all of us. It's going to work. And the funny thing is when they were doing their one-offs, she had them lay on the floor, and from my vantage to the side, it looked like they were like dead bodies, like splayed out, and they were smiling because they thought it was kind of funny. And then when I saw the photos, it actually worked out well. because both of my kids' hair is fairly long at this stage. It's very shaggy. So when they're laying back, the hair was off their face and they were looking at the camera and they were smiling because they thought the whole pose was humorous. But it turned out she was just shooting them from the neck up. So it wasn't a full body shot. And when I told my elder son that, he was super bummed because he thought it was going to be like a dead body shot. But I chose those photos because those ones, they were both smiling quite nicely and looking at the camera. And so it's, I won't get those for a couple weeks, but yeah. And then I'm like, hey man, just give a couple good smiles. And he's like, I am. I don't know. He's 13. He's definitely hit that whole sullen teenager. He's got that vibe down. He's a good kid. He's a very good kid. He's very smart. But just for certain little things, like you take him away from his computer or from his games, and he just gets an attitude, I tell you. But yeah, so that's what we've been doing the last week. I might rewatch my older video to see when it is I did my new, when I started that new cartridge. Because if it's a day after, then everything's fine. If it was how I have it marked, then it's kind of weird and I'll have to troubleshoot. I did start taking the the SS31. I take 7 units every day. And I'm using these insulin pen tips daily, and it feels like such a waste. And I don't have like a sharps container. I've been putting these in just like a sandwich bag this whole time. And then I just started a second sandwich bag. So I need to find a place where I can drop off that first one. I've heard you can put sharps in makeshift containers, like old laundry detergent containers, because they're thick plastic. So I might have to hunt something down here at the house for that. But it feels like a waste. I'm using one of these a day for my SS31 shots. And I'll be doing more, of course, when I get the Cagrelintide. And I bought some Melanotin 2. There's Melanotin 1 and Melanotin 2. I bought the Melanotin 2. A lot of bodybuilders use it. It helps your skin they probably use it for skin pigmentation issues, because a lot of bodybuilders have that tan, right? So when they go to I don't want to say perform, but when they have shows or whatever, I can't think what it's called, they want to be tan because then it shows off muscles better with the oil, I guess. So a lot of people use it for that. So it will potentially make me tanner if I spend any time outside, and it keeps your tan longer. It also can enhance freckles or give you freckles. So some people don't like that effect of it, but it's also been known to help with libido issues. So I'm throwing that into the mix too, to see if that, helps anything. So far, I don't notice the testosterone doing much of anything, but I'm going to go 6 weeks, and then I'll get some blood work done and see how my levels are compared to when I had my blood work done in May. And granted, I know May is quite farther back from, 5 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now for when I get my next set of blood work. But it'll probably be a good point to reference at least. I don't feel any ill effects from it that I'm aware of. I don't notice yet crazy hair growth or anything like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where the numbers come out at. So, but yeah, so the Melanotin, the Cagrelintide. I'm trying Selenk. I've talked about this in the past. It's supposed to be good for anxiety. It's a neurotropic, I believe. I'm going to be taking it nasally, so I'm trying to figure out if I can make my own sterile saline. I was looking at buying it, and I'm buying some inhaler type bottles, some glass bottles. I can buy the sterile saline, but the minute you crack open the bottle, it's no longer sterile. So it's not like when you have a big bottle of like bacteriostatic water and it's got that rubber stopper and you're puncturing it with a needle and you're drawing it up so it still stays pretty sterile inside the bottle. These are just, you twist off the top and then it's open to the air. So I don't see why I wouldn't be able just to make sterile saline, make saline, I guess, from distilled water, boil that, and then salt to make my own sterile saline, because it's going to be open to the air anyway. I don't know. I've got some feelers out with some people in the community to see what they think of that idea. because it would definitely be cheaper. I have the materials. We already have purified water, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to try the Cellular. It's to see how it helps. I haven't been super anxious lately. I would love to be able to get off the Wellbutrin, the bupropion, like full stop. But Cellular is also supposed to be good for like focus type issues. So there's another group that I'm a part of that I've been a part of for quite some time, but I've never really looked at their offerings. They actually have a number of things that I might be interested in. The NAD plus, NAD plus, that one seems interesting. AOD, maybe. I know someone mentioned it to me before. I think they have one of those coming up. There's like one or two others. Oh, the TB 500. TB 500. I think that's what it is. TB4. I think that's the same thing. Anyway, that one's supposed to be really good for inflammation. It's supposed to be heart protective as well. You know how I freak out about my heart from the different ailments that I've had with that in the past. So I'm still in the research phase. I'm not necessarily pulling the trigger on any of those yet, but they do have more to offer than the typical place that I get my stuff at. So we'll see. All right, guys, I've rambled on for long enough. I will see you next Thursday, hopefully with a weight loss instead of an increase. But again, yeah. Okay. But again, I'm watching what I'm eating in the sense that I'm watching it as it goes into my mouth. I'm not really mitigating or like that kind of thing. So it might go up again. It might not. I really don't know. We'll just have to, we'll find out together next Thursday. Okay. Bye.